Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got the latest and greatest from KSwiss, the KSwiss K-Frame Speed Rublo 1. Yes, I got that correct. That is a very long name for a very interesting shoe. Now, Andre Rublo has been working with KSwiss for a while. Obviously, this is this kind of second model he's had something to do with, and once again, it kind of has his footprint all over it, no pun intended. Actually, Beckett from 10Com Media was the one that kind of reminded me that I had not reviewed these yet. So if you're not following him, are you even a tennis player? So make sure you go subscribe to Beckett as well on 10Com Media. He's got some pretty incredible videos out there, especially in the tennis space. Even if you're not a tennis player, he's good, so give him a follow. And thanks to KSwiss for sending me a pair of these. Check out. However, this video is by no means sponsored. As always, all opinions, good, bad, and indifferent, are all my own. So getting into the uppers of these, the one thing that I just immediately, when I took them out of the box, I thought these are gonna be stiff and uncomfortable. Yeah, they're gonna be a little bit lighter, maybe some other maximalist shoes, but they are gonna be stiff, and I'm not gonna like them in the forefoot, especially with my high arch. Couldn't have been further from the truth, and still I cannot believe I'm gonna say this, but these are like buttery, like the Ultra Shot 4 is just not as heavy. In the forefoot, yeah, there's a ton of TPU weaving, and there's also a lot of rubber, but it's nice and flowy. I mean, you look on the microscope and there is textile in there, and it just does move with your foot really well. No lace irritation. And I mean, although, yeah, it is a slipper tongue and it's kind of a hybrid slipper tongue, but yeah, those a lot of times just do not give a lot of padding. I did not have any lace irritation at all. You can see there is 2 layers of padding here in the tongue. They're very thin, but they are there. And because it's cuffed lace eyelets going all the way up, the laces just sit a little bit more flat. There is no runners on these things. It's the one thing I don't like. Although heel slippage on these was very, very mild, and that was with an orthotic or no orthotic. It was just a little bit mild. The thing is though, is there's so much padding here in the heel counter and the ankle collar here. I mean, it goes all the way around the ankle collar with that really dense padding when it goes high up. So it just, you do sit in the shoe fine in these things. I do wish it would have been extended into the tongue, right? But you know, this is supposed to be a little more of a stripped down speed focused shoe, so you get some weight out from the tongue. I get that. And like I said, the lace line, it's reinforced. There's rubber all along the lace line, which is great. So those lace eyelets on the lateral side, they're super strong, and on the inside, the medial side, it's all supposed to be internal. So if you're sliding, it protects you. And you go into the forefoot, and you can see there's a huge drag guard here, and it is reinforced in the 2 places. I'm guessing their data showed that you were gonna have, you know, the most wear, which I thought was pretty cool, because once again, it allows the shoe to just bend a little bit more with you, be a little bit more comfortable. I said, out of the box, these were not, I know I'm gonna say it's like 1,000 times in this video, I just couldn't believe how not stiff these were out of the box. In the rear foot, you do get an external heel counter that does complement an internal heel counter. Really stable in the rear foot. I just like traditional tongues more, but if you do want a booty liner, slipper tongue, sock liner shoe, this one, Blue Shield Fly 4, these are the 2 I would say on the market right now. In terms of upper stability, we'll talk about the midsole, is just really out of this world. Now look at this thing on the breathability test. This is what was a little surprising. Yes, it came out of the forefoot just fine. I mean, the fog was just billowing out of there. On the sides though, where it looks like it should breathe like crazy, really nothing's getting out of there, and that's because, remember, it's a slipper tongue shoe, and so all this neoprene padded material is under here, so there's just nowhere for anything to breathe. So it does come out here, because obviously there's room in there to breathe, because there's netting in here, but it's continuous material here. So although they do breathe very well out of the forefoot, especially for a shoe as rugged as these are, just don't expect them to do a ton of breathing along the medial sides or the lateral side where the slipper tongue is. All right, but before we get into the midsole teardown, I gotta do a little preview of the tread, because you can see there's a K here, obviously called the K-Frame Speed. So you would assume if you see this plastic here, it is a K shape. We'll find out if it is or not in a second. But this is an entire bed of KSwiss's Hyperfoam. Now, KSwiss has more names for more foams I'll ever know, but yet they never actually say exactly what they're made of. I looked at this on the microscope. It looks like an EVA blend. It feels like a Cushlon 3.0. It's very soft, but dense, right? Like that comfortable but dense foam. Underfoot, it feels awesome. The one thing though is it is a padded strobel. So I think that might be where some of that real plush feeling underfoot comes from. Although, like I said, the foam is, it is very comfortable underfoot, but it does have a padded strobel here that also kind of jacks the heel height up a little bit. So, you know, maybe a millimeter or 2. So even though it's like 2.7 centimeters, I gotta give it to them because that's the height of it. it's more around like the 2.5. Now this is a bottom loaded plastic shank or plastic composite shank. And then I did cut open the side of that K frame, because you can see it goes into here where the KSwiss logo is. Right here it comes into the K and then it goes out. But I cut through it and that plastic does go all the way through the K. So it's honestly really hard to cut everything open to see if it's an exact shape unless they actually send me the components of the shoe, which they didn't. But it does appear to be an actual K frame, as you can see into here too. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's, you know, as long as it goes, I mean, you're getting the same lateral stability here, whether it's in a shape of a K, it could be a J, it could just be one line, right, or an L, like in some of the Jordan Luca ones with the step back plates, things like that. But that's cool. I mean, yeah, I like it. It integrates his name into there, so that's cool. Look at this thing on the tensiometer though. It only took 40 newtons to get it to 45 degrees. I thought it was not gonna budge, but I think it's because it's more for the lateral stability, so it doesn't go all the way through the shoe, thins out in there, so it only took 40 newtons, which isn't terrible. It's just, you know, it's not as stiff as I thought it would be. And then on the bounce height test, what you'd expect, 33 centimeters in the rear foot, 31 in the forefoot. That's usually what you see with pretty doughy EVA type foams. And like I said, comfortable, super comfortable. Once again, very surprising how comfortable these are. I know I keep harping on it. But yeah, in these ones, it's kind of the form factor of the Hypercourt Pinnacle, but then the underfoot feel of the UltraShot 4. So for those of you that kind of wanted a mix of both, this might be a pretty good pickup. All right, getting into the outsole tread of the K frames, I'll start with the durometer. Comes in at a 22, which is pretty hard rubber, and then it's very flat rubber. It's that punched in rubber. So especially on the medial side, and it's 4 millimeters of tread thickness. I mean, this is thick rubber. And then it goes into this K frame, which is like kind of more geometric shapes. It kind of just takes on a different kind of, it's like a really flat, you know, almost herringbone, more like a wing pattern. The weird thing is you look at this thing on the outsole durability test, the 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, and yeah, I mean, almost a millimeter of damage. And if I just cranked it, if I kind of put some pressure on it, it did kind of, the burr did sink into this. And for rubber that's 22 on the durometer, that was a little bit early wear. I think what's going on here is, I think because the rubber is so thick, the tread is so flat, I think that's what KSwiss is kind of counting on to create a lot of the durability, that it's so flat. There's gonna be so much load sharing, right? You know, there's just so much surface area for you to spread the friction out on. And plus it is a full length tread pattern. So I'm not sure if they're gonna have the same durability and rubber profile as something like the Hypercourt Express or the Hypercourt Supremes. I think, like I said, I think the rubber is gonna feel a little bit softer, but the other thing is they don't feel bottom heavy. Even though you get a lot of foam in there, the shank is really big. So, and there's a lot of rubber, and the rubber is very thick. It also seems like it's pretty light rubber. So it's not gonna feel like an UltraShot 4 where it feels, you know, a little bit heavier underfoot. It's gonna feel a lot lighter. I think there's some trade-offs. I think some people are really gonna like them, some people aren't. But it is interesting how they got such thick rubber on these, but yet it doesn't feel heavy, and the shoe just isn't a real clunker heavy shoe. So yeah, like I said, I think if you're someone that slides, you know, more medial slide, I think it'd be fine. Also someone like me who just doesn't really slide to begin with, I think you're not even gonna notice it. But I think if you are a really heavy slider, I'm interested to see 3 to 6 months down the road what yours look like. All right, but getting to my favorite part of really any KSwiss review these days, and that is the fit. Number one, the Rublos come in at 28.7 centimeters in length, so pretty true, maybe just a millimeter short. And they come in at 10 centimeters metatarsal width, 9.9 centimeters of toe box width, and then a taper of only 34 degrees. And not only 34 degrees, but it's, you know, it's just a pretty normal taper. The other thing is they only have an 8-degree inflare. So just all in all, it is a very, very just mellow shoe. I'd say if you're a narrow or medium foot, you can just go true to size on these things. A 2E, you can also just go true to size on these things. They lock down well enough, you can go true to size. A 4E, I think you can get away with a true size on this. Your toes might be a little scrunched, so I'd say there's really no problem in going up 1/2 size on these things, so I think that's fine. Like I said, if you want to try to get that weight reduction, more performance fit, then I think, you know, go down a half, you know, not go down, go true to size. But if you don't feel like slogging through a break-in, 4E, just go up 1/2 size. In terms of the snake bitten foot, lumps, bumps, or bruises, they do fit orthotics well. Even for a slipper tongue shoe, you're gonna have a little bit more lace irritation, so you might just wanna put a little bit of moleskin there, but they fit orthotics just fine. In terms of heel pain, arch pain, or ball of foot pain, I think they're fine. That K-frame, just bottom loaded shank really does keep side to side stability. Plus it does have just big enough of a lateral flange. It's bulky enough out there that I think for an ankle sprainer, they're just fine too, especially because they are full length tread patterns. So you're just getting a lot of stability from the shoe. Plus they're not super heavy, so they're not gonna be terrible for shin splints either. Honestly, the only thing I don't like is the slipper tongue. I think if you just put a little bit of moleskin under there, any sort of padding, you can check out all the tons of ways that you can customize the tongue of this to give you more, more comfort, more step inconvenience, more, less lace irritation, more lace comfort. You can check all that out in my shoe customization and lower leg taping ebook. I'll leave it linked in the description below. It gives a ton of different techniques on how to do that, just how to increase the comfort of any shoe or increase the performance. And so I think with an orthotic or without an orthotic, underfoot, I think they're fantastic, and for ankle sprainers, I think they're really good. I think this is one of the better shoes out there for shin splints for sure. To me, in terms of KSwiss right now, given that there's the Ultra Shot 4, the Hypercourt Pinnacle, the K-frame, and the good old Hypercourt Supreme, Hypercourt Express, this might be the best brand in tennis right now. I know that some people there was concern about the Ultra Shot 4, some durability issues I saw on some of the runs of those, and I didn't see any of that, but I also had an early run of the shoe. It could have been this, that, the other thing. It could have just been, people sliding in a certain way. But I will say, historically, these have been durable shoes. I'm not sure if that was an issue with the line or what people were using, what was going on there. But between K-Swiss, Diadora, and New Balance now, we're like in a golden age of tennis shoes in terms of performance as well as comfort, protection, things like that. And it's just getting better and better. I should do a video like kind of on the golden age of tennis shoes, because we really are in the golden age right now. And it's with companies you wouldn't, like I said, you wouldn't really expect, right? They're, not like the quote unquote, hype mainstream shoes. So really the bigger companies have ceded a lot of ground to places like K. So I'd say right now, it's K-Swiss, it's Diadora, New Balance. And aside from that, I think those are pretty much the shoes most than 99% of the time I'm recommending to patients one of the shoes in one of those lineups, and I've been having a lot of success. So love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, especially on something like this, which, yeah, performance-wise, side to side, speed, really they just do fantastic, plus the underfoot comfort, really good. So I'd love to know if you've tried them, or if you're going to these, or if what you're sticking with right now, because like I said, so many options. Love to know what you're going with. If you want to see what I'm talking about with the Hypercourt Pinnacle or the Ultra Shot 4, I'll leave those two videos linked up above. Make sure you subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video.